Alina Stasko, fresh from the sodden shores of Kherson, with one bag and no idea what her future holds. There is some comfort in the form of neighbors who fled the floodwaters ahead of her, heading for this center for the displaced in Mykolaiv. We first met her at the train station. Russians were shooting at us from the east bank, she says, describing her escape after the Kakhovka dam was destroyed. Ukraine pushed Russian troops out of the city last November, but only as far as the other side of the Dnipro River. We were living under occupation for 8 months, said Stasko, and after the liberation, we were shelled every day. My soul is screaming, she says. Not just for herself. Victims on the Russian-held side of the flood zone have remained largely out of reach. And even here in Mykolaiv, an hour's drive away from the front, the need is great. Drinking water is still bussed in to collection points like this one, a year after Russian troops destroyed the city's main water line. Nerves are frayed. Please tell the world what's happening, says Larissa Dorhalist. Ukrainians are being killed, just destroyed. To the east of Mykolaiv, on what was once rich farmland, minesweepers are at work, a slow and steady ballet. This region was also occupied by the Russians. The Halo Trust, a demining charity, has been at work here since they were pushed out. The flood is a huge setback.
It takes patience, it takes time.
Jasmine Dan, a Canadian, says the danger is that Russian-laid mines will have shifted with the force of the flood.
We were almost done this minefield. We've been working here for a few months now. It's an OZM minefield, which has explosives that are on tripwire that will essentially leap into the air and then explode.
It was already going to take decades to clear Ukraine of mines. The added complications the floodwaters have brought to the demining process here are clear, but they're not the only legacy the destruction of the dam has left behind for future generations to grapple with. The Kakhovka Reservoir, about 95 kilometers upstream from the dam. It's shrinking fast, water levels down by 70%, a blow to surrounding wildlife and to some 700,000 people who rely on it for water. Andrei Selitsky is the military administrator for Nova Vorontsovka, a town on the reservoir. Retreating waters are revealing the detritus of conflicts, present and past.
It's very dangerous, no. Old mine for Second World War and Grad, Uragan mine in this war.
The most immediate problem, though, is still drinking water. Bottles of it are now being trucked in and rationed. For farmers used to working in a green belt supplied by the reservoir, the problem is more complicated. Denis Mironenko grows strawberries and grapes. If we irrigate with only what nature gives us, it will not grow, he says. In the summer, the climate is very dry, it's very hot, and so the harvest won't be here at all. Some experts warn without drastic action, this part of Ukraine could become desert-like. But in a country still at war, even temporary solutions are difficult to contemplate, leaving an ecosystem already battered by conflict more precariously perched than ever. Margaret Evans, CBC News, Southern Ukraine.